37th parallel on America's haunted highway, it's Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 200 of Pixelated Paranormal.
Holy shit, we've been doing this for 200 times.
200.
Yeah, technically a couple more than 200, but yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
that's we're probably really at like 215 because we had that weird thing we did where we're like season 1 episode 2, and then Rob's like, God damn it, stop it with the seasons, nobody cares about seasons, it's just episode 15. So then we went back to just doing episodes, and
I think it's probably closer to 205.
yeah.
But I'd like to point out to everybody giving me shit about that, because there's plenty of other folks that have called me out. I counted those as individual episodes, so it's not like we've got 100 or 200 episodes of season 3, so to speak. Like, those are all counted. Those are all, accounted for.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel you.
Either way, it's 200.
Yeah.
It's an achievement.
Yeah, it is. And Steve, you put a really nice sentiment when you reposted the post that we made about podcasting. How long have you been podcasting? Because Preston and I, this is 5 years, but how long have you been podcasting?
I think it's anywhere between 12 to 15. It has to be.
Jeez.
Long time.
Holy shit.
First time I heard about a podcast was when I was with this record label here in Wichita. It's no longer around, called Scrub Club Records. We stumbled upon it on iTunes back because we all had iPods and we were like sharing music like all the time, bringing over like flash drives of music, CDs full of music, and copying them to other people's hard drives. And they just had launched a podcast service like probably like within that year. And we were like looking at comedy stuff, and we found one which was the Awful Show, and which is where I met my buddy Mike, Pilot, and the rest is history. I got involved with that, and then got intrigued on doing podcasts through video games, shit like that, and everything else since then.
Yeah.
I've either been on them, had them, whatever, stuff like that. So this is where I'm at now, so it's cool.
Hell yeah, dude. What a nice place to just lay your head for a while.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what episode you joined us on.
Yeah,
I meant to look that up.
It's hard to remember. That's why we need like hardcore, dedicated, diehard fans that know that shit like on the fly.
I know it was slightly before we started our Cryptid Encounter series, because the first when I started doing the YouTube page and putting up the videos, I started with the Cryptid Encounters, and Steve had already joined us by then. So the Cryptid Encounters were like episode like 80, 87, 89. So I think around a 70.
I love how wrong you are on everything. 66.
66. Oh shit. Well, Steve might have been.
Just be quiet.
66.
Just wait for the diehard fan to figure it out.
Yeah,
no,
Steve
because he's consistent, and that's why I love him.
Yeah, Steve might have joined us then at least episode 55, 54, 56.
Yeah, 61 was WitchCon 2018, and Steve was there for that.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, it had to have been right around the 50s, dude. I think is because episode 52 was previously on The Bachelor, and that's back about the girl who did an episode of The Bachelor, and then whenever it was over, she went to do weed farming and trimming, and didn't tell her family. That was episode 52. Yeah.
Either way, that's crazy. I can't believe been around that long. That's nuts.
Yeah, so you've been with us for, well over 3 years, dude.
Yeah, you jumped in right at when Sean and I really started to find our niche when the going got good. So sometimes I go back and listen to like episode 0 or 1 or 2, and I'm like, oh, God, what were we thinking?
Yeah. That's great, man.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you do, man? Yeah, we had a couple specials. We had a few paranormal pit stops in there. We put Preston your oh god, it was a 3-part series we did. And we released a master cut of all 3 parts into one as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably about 205 is what Apple says right here we have. So,
And then that the round table we did with Steve and Brady, and then we did another
yeah.
round table with Steve, Brady, and Corey, and then burnt down Corey's house. Or, I mean, Steve doesn't want to admit that. Yeah, Steve doesn't want to admit that he turned the stove on.
No,
but,
that was definitely not me.
That was Corey, dude, because I wasn't
Yeah.
anywhere near the stove.
And that was before.
Basically, folks,
And that was before
What happened was-
before I participated in Devil's Lettuce. So I don't want to hear it.
wow. Yeah, basically, we recorded a show over at Corey and Amanda's house back in our hometown. Somebody apparently bumped into the gas and turned the gas on, and luckily they made it out alive, but I still say it was Corey.
Yeah.
It was Corey.
God love him. I still
trying
say
to cash in on that insurance money, huh, Corey?
Abduction to the Ninth Planet. That's what it was, Preston. That's what was the 3-parter we did. Way back before we tried a 3-parter for Thieves in the Night that took, every 6 episodes we put a piece out. God, it's been so fun though, like 200 episodes. And we didn't really call it out on social media, but yeah, we hit our 5-year anniversary back in May as well. So 5 years, 200 episodes. It's been quite a long ride. And I feel like there's still so much to talk about. There's still so much for us to research and still so many stories to be told. And so that's what tonight's episode is going to be. And surprise, surprise, folks, we got a lot of stories. So we're probably going to have to cut this one into a 2-parter as well, which a lot of people have already guessed and already commented on. So yeah, episode 200, and then we'll spill over into episode 201 as well.
Yeah, let's get started.
Real quick, I signed up for an Audible account the other day, and sure as shit, we're on Audible too. You can actually listen to us with all your other podcasts on Audible.
Hey, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was a thing, but hello, all you Audible listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found out a lot of
awesome.
people do the YouTube as well. I've seen a few people on Instagram post, what they're doing in an afternoon and say they're listening to some podcasts, and our logo's up on their TV. So
I see that my father is commenting in the YouTube section.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's up, Richard?
What's up, Richard? And don't worry, I passed along the message and told Steven to go ahead and call you. So I stay up to date on all the YouTube messages. So anytime you need me to pass along,
what are you trying to be?
What the fuck is this accent, dude?
Yeah, you need me to pass a message along to your son, Richard. I'm here for you.
You hung out with your cousin for a week, and you have this weird, like, Billy Madison thing going on.
That's because he calls me every day, every fucking day. He calls me and he'll leave me a voicemail in the same goddamn tone, and it's like ingrained into my head now.
It's hilarious.
Well, the good news is Steven and I are going to call you out every time.
Well, that's all right.
Well, we've got our Google Voice number set up, and with that, we've received a couple voicemails that we want to share. And before we hit play on those, I want to go ahead and let you guys all know the Google Voice number where you can call and leave us a message is 913-662-3144. If you'd like to call and leave us a message, we'd love to feature that on the podcast, so it's going to be awesome. Go ahead and open up your textbooks, kids. Go to the text thread, I guess, and open up Josh's voicemail number 1.
Hi, my name is Josh. And so my incident happened in my kitchen, and I went and grabbed me a shot, and it has a cork top that you put on top, just a stopper. And so I go into my living room, and I start watching whatever Halloween horror show, whatever's going on. And all of a sudden I hear little pop, and I look into my kitchen, and the cork hits the floor and is spinning in a circle, just like if I had just rolled it across the floor. Normally, a cork popping off of a bottle would go up and come right back down and bounce around on the counter and then hit the floor. But this one didn't hit anything. It just went up and it came out and it hit the floor. It didn't hit the countertop, didn't hit the cabinets, didn't hit anything. Don't know how it managed to get as far away from the counter that it did, but it was something strange, something weird.
So, Stephen, you are the expert on alcohol. But...
alcohol, I'm most definitely not. That was going to be the key thing with this story that Josh sent in. First off, Josh, thank you for calling in the voicemail. It's pretty dope. But like, anytime I hear anybody like, oh, like any kind of like strange or paranormal-esque type story revolving around alcohol, he starts off with, well, I was going to the kitchen for a shot. Like, I'm like,
going to pour myself a shot.
Yeah. But it's definitely weird. It's strange. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what could it be. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the most peculiar part is the fact that, like you said, you know, I've poured myself a whiskey or whatever and put the cork back down in the bottle and watched it actually slowly push itself out because, you know, I pushed it in too quick and captured too much air in the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And so the pressure forces the cork back out. But he's kind of right. Normally, you would think the cork would pop up and then fall over and, you know, dance around the countertop or the table or whatever it's on. So I don't know. Kind of unusual. Preston, what do you think, man?
I mean, he's got an angry spirit in his house that has a taste for the spirits and pulled that fucking cork out, threw it across the room, and it was like, where's my glass, motherfucker? I want a drink.
So spirits craving spirits is what you're saying.
Inception.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let us know if it's happened again, man. That'd be interesting to hear if it's something that's reoccurred or if it's just that one instance.
And if you've ever had that happen to you with a cork, call in the voicemail. Let us know.
Yeah.
Just
That's
don't
right,
call in with
folks.
that stupid ass accent that Preston does.
Cork busters.
I think that you got a thirsty spirit there.
Not Ghostbusters. It's Cork Busters. Who are you going to call? Pixelated Paranormal.
Man, hey, speaking of who you're going to call, Preston, what are you drinking tonight? Are you drinking anything to celebrate episode 200?
Fuck yeah, I'm drinking a Central Standard Drop Top Caddy American Sour Orange Cream Soda Ale.
Cruising
Fancy
around in my
pants.
drop top, cruising the streets.
And it's got a...
got a
okay.
real little Preston just waiting for me.
Yeah, an orange convertible caddy with a bat and an eagle and some zebras and some elephants.
There you go.
And, yeah.
Well, Steve, I want to hear you sing a song about what I'm drinking. I am drinking a coconut coffee stout, oak aged, from 903 Brewing in Sherman, Texas.
I have no... What? How? There's nothing to work with on that.
I know. No shit,
You
right?
put the stout in the coconut, you shake it all around. No? All right. Well, fuck you two.
Oh my
Hey,
god,
works
y'all
for
are
me.
crazy.
Works for me. All right, now Josh actually sent in 2 voicemails for us, so let's go ahead and hit play on the next one.
Hi, this is Josh, and my story happened about 5 months or so ago. I was on the highway on 235, getting off at 25th Street North to go deliver some groceries. And I take the off-ramp, I come up to the stop sign, and I look to my right, the road curves around there, and it goes straight up to 21st Street. And I see something glittering on the ground. Looks like one of those wind chime things, or not even a wind chime thing. It looked more like a headlight for a bicycle that was flashing. But it was on the ground, so I figured somebody lost their headlight on their bicycle. So I go ahead and make my turn. I made a point to see if it was just a piece of glitter, tassel or whatever. Nothing was there. There was nothing waving in the wind. There was no headlight from a bicycle. Absolutely nothing. So I went and made my delivery. I came back around, took the same street to get back onto 235, and still there was absolutely nothing there. So there was just a flashing anomaly, and it wasn't reflection in my windows or mirrors or anything like that. It was probably 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. So the sun wasn't in a direction to where I would have any reflection of anything on the road. But this was right off the center in the middle of the road. Anybody could have seen it. Nobody ran over it. I didn't run over it. It was just a flashing anomaly. It was crazy.
Will o' the Wisp.
Flashing
That's-
anomaly. Yeah, Will o' the Wisp.
Yeah.
It's like the Ori game.
Yep, exactly. And right by my house, too, Josh, I live pretty close to 235 and 25th Street.
His address
so...
is... No.
Right. It was my groceries he delivered.
So we talked about this a topic very similar. I don't remember what episode it was, but in Missouri, you have like the brown lights or whatever it is, where like people will drive down this highway and they see this anomaly, and all these fucking experts like get out their equipment and they're like, well, see a swamp gas from Venus, or because the highway has a 35-degree curvature. The headlights reflect off the asphalt and cause a blah 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 blah. I don't know that I always buy into that. I don't know that all these different anomalies that people experience, like that's kind of like your automatic go-to, like, oh, it's just reflection off the asphalt. The curvature of the Earth, and Venus is 5 miles closer to the Earth at this point, and so the reflection of and I'm just like, that's bullshit. Like, apparently, it's a fucking demon spirit or maybe a fairy spirit in the middle of the fucking street, and that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, I think maybe so. I'm just gonna call it right now, boys. Classic case of swamp gas.
Swamp gas. God.
Get the fuck out
Like
of
a Man in
here.
Black, dude.
Every time, man. Every
Yeah.
single time. The Flatwoods monster. Oh, it's just a swamp gas. It's Venus reflecting off the swamp gas.
We
So I don't know. That's interesting. A very interesting light anomaly.
It's weird.
Yeah, Sean, you and I were talking, like a week ago. I told you that I bought season 3 and 4 of X-Files on Vudu, and I was as I'm going back and I'm watching all these episodes and I'm watching them with the kids. That I'm hold on one second. I guess I'm amazed and pleased with how much research of folklore and like different stories that the creators and the writers of that show actually did. And
oh yeah, man.
The like whatever season 3, they had this episode about abductions, and they're talking about the Men in Black, and it's fucking Jesse Ventura, the wrestler.
I know.
He shows up and he's like, so you're about to die if you fucking say anything, and it was swamp gas from Venus. And the guy's like, it was a UFO. You're mistaken, sir. It's fucking swamp gas from Venus. And it's like, that dude, stop. That can't be the go-to answer. And then no shit, in real life, like that's really the go-to answer that you hear all the time.
Yeah.
Huh.
Come on, guys. We got to get better. I mean, it's 2021. The government's talking about UFOs. Okay. Swamp gas in Venus is no longer a thing. Hashtag stop the gas.
Hashtag stop the gas. I love it. I love it. Yeah, there's also a really great show that was on History Channel called Project Blue Book.
Yeah.
And it was basically about, who was it? J. Allen Hynek and another guy. And it was kind of a dramatization over a lot of your early UFO sightings, the UFOs over Texas, Flatwoods monster, and they kind of do the same thing where they really try to convince you it was something very terrestrial, like, oh, it's a giant tree, and there was just a lot of fog that night, and you thought it was a monster. and it was a phenomenal show. I don't know if it ever got picked up for a season 2. I think I watched all but the last episode, and then I kind of forgot about it. Not because it was bad, just there's too much content right now to watch. There always has been for like the last 5 years.
Yeah,
But
it's way too much.
yeah, if you can find it on any Hulu or whatever, it's definitely worth a watch. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting little light anomaly. I'd be even more curious if you looked at your clock and realized, you lost 5 or 10 minutes. You had some missing time.
Yeah, you got abducted, bro. While
Yep.
you were delivering groceries, doing the Lord's work. The aliens got
Yep. If you searched the groceries and realized the Reese's Pieces were missing, then you, sir, got probed.
you.
Well, our next story was sent in to us from my beautiful cousin Amy, and she is the gal we were talking about who found the Mason apron and all that really cool stuff. And she sent in a ghost story of sorts. Back in the early 90s, my grandpa passed away, and my grandma ended up living alone. My family only lived a block from her home, and my sister and I would often stay the night with her. Now, this would be the opposite grandparents that she and I did not share. I just want to clarify that. Every time we'd stay the night, we'd all sleep in the same bed. My grandma slept by the doorway, my sister in the middle, and myself on the other side. I've never been able to fall asleep very easy, and I'm an incredibly light sleeper who often has bouts of random insomnia.
Same.
So I'd just lay there in the dark and silence and try to fall asleep, long after the two of them. During these moments, every time I would first hear the sound of shuffling feet. The sounds would start with a couple shuffles in place on Grandma's side of the bed. Then the sound would start moving from Grandma's side of the bed and shuffle slowly around the bed and stop over at my side. There would always be a pause, and after a few minutes, I would feel its step on the foot of the bed and walk back across to Grandma's side. When it would cross the bed, I'd feel the pressure push against my ankles and a slight movement of the bed, but not strong enough to be an actual person. Then the shuffling would start again, and the steps would round the end of the bed, and then pause, and once again step out onto the foot of the bed. The fear was so paralyzing that I either was unable to or too afraid to move, and my heart would pound so hard I was always afraid it would hear it. I once tried to open my eyes to sneak a peek at whatever it was, but the room was so dark I couldn't see anything, and I was definitely not going to open my eyes all the way. I wised up at some point and started ending up sleeping in a fetal position. Once I did this, I no longer felt the pressure on my ankles, but would still feel the weight on the bed. I still don't know what was going on or if anyone else who stayed over there with her ever felt it. My grandma had no pets, and no one lived with her, and my parents told me I was dreaming or hearing the neighbors. But I know for certain I was not dreaming, and I know the neighbors had nothing to do with it because in all the silence at night, you could in fact hear them at their own house. But after dark, they were not outside, let alone circling my grandma's bedroom. Oof.
Creepy shit, man.
Yeah, and of course that's a country house too, so things are a lot creepier out in the country.
Sounds like it's the goblins from the labyrinth.
Indian burial ground. Indian burial ground.
It could be where Amy and her family grew up at. It would not surprise me. It's a creepy town.
That's crazy. What a good story. What do you guys think it is?
Man, I don't know. My cousins and I are very much alike, especially, Amy mentioned the random bouts of insomnia. I have that all the time.
Ugh,
kind of being
genetics are a
sensitive
bitch.
to... What's that?
I said genetics are a bitch.
The random bouts of insomnia, being kind of sensitive or haunted or whatever you want to call it. Like when we were little, we used to always talk about ghost stories, and it's just always like, oh yeah, I've had that. So yeah, pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I'd never heard that one before. It doesn't surprise me at all. Maybe, hopefully, it was your grandpa. Hopefully. All right. Well, up next, we've got a story from our buddy, the fantastic, phenomenal artist Baba Drock.
So, the Bigfoot call was 2007. My wife and I were on our honeymoon. We were camping at a place near Crater Lake campsite on Willow Lake. It was great. Absolutely no one else in the camp except the host and their RV on the other side of the lake. It was kind of weird, actually. I'd never seen a camp that was open with none of the spots occupied. We thought, great, we're going to have an awesome night, stay up all night, just the two of us, partying by the fire. Then, just a little after sundown, seemingly from the direction of a large hillside/mountaintop, we were way up in the mountains, like way up there. There was a sloping down towards the lake and campsite, probably half a mile off. We heard a scream, yell, call, caw, whatever. Really, really loud. Just one. We both looked at each other. That was weird. What the hell was that? Whatever. We both felt really weird and just cleaned up the camp and went to bed, hoping to get out of there as soon as we could in the morning. No party whatsoever. Wah wah. Sleep did not come easy. I laid awake, staring straight up, fading in and out, having visions of Bigfoot staring down into our tent, any shuffling sound, and I was wide-eyed. But nothing really, nothing weird when we actually got up. I still don't know. I've camped a lot, but I'm no expert of the wilderness. There are bears, mountain lions in the areas. But no, just know that the feeling it put in us, the particular sound, stuck in my head. I've listened to all sorts of sound samples to see if I could find it. And yes, I am now a Bigfoot guy. And the closest thing I would now say that it sounded like was the Ohio call. But I've listened to all sorts of animal calls. Mountain lions can make some horrible screams, but that wasn't it. That's it. Now I researched the idea of Bigfoot a lot, and that was probably what for me solidified the idea of it being possible. Damn, that was long for not much, but that's my story. Thanks, guys. Love the show. Rock and roll Drock.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah.
What a great write-in.
So first of all, if you're on Instagram, please give Drock a follow. His handle is at Baba, that's BAB _Drock, DROC. And you will see the muse that he really focuses on for a lot of paintings is old Bigfoot himself. And he's done a ton of really awesome portraits of all the different types of Bigfoots and Sasquatch and everything else. And
Bigfoot action figures. Don't forget.
Dude, I'm looking at one right now.
Yeah.
Twisted Mashup Ninja Cryptids, the Bigfoot Soldier. I still swear this is one of the coolest fucking things I've ever owned, let alone ever seen. And he's currently working on a yokai. He's doing a Kappa action figure.
Fuck yeah.
Capitello. Yeah, it's really rad. Old Bigfoot Soldier needs a companion, so I'm going to have to get me a Kappa. We're also going to have to do a yokai episode 2.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Sometime soon,
I could do that, 7 days a week. I love yokai.
Yeah, I think Chelsea sent in one to us that looks like a ghost that has an eyeball in between its butt cheeks.
Nice.
So definitely going to have to do some investigative work there. Well, what he mentioned was the Ohio call, also known as the Ohio Howl. And that's from back in like 1994. Matt Moneymaker from Finding Bigfoot had been out, doing some research, camping and whatnot. And he recorded this really weird, eerie, like cry. And it's called the Ohio Howl. And it sounds, I don't know, kind of similar, like Baba Drock said, to being this weird, like, whooping noise. And it's been recorded. We have a recording. I'll include it in the episode. Guys, there is a link down there if you want to listen to it as well. but it's been one of the most common Bigfoot noises in research today. And they actually use that in what they call Bigfoot call blasting, where they take the sound on repeat, hook it up to a lot of loudspeakers and megaphones, and then play that out into the wilderness, hoping to get some kind of delayed response. But if you listen to that, the sound itself has some dogs barking in the foreground, but then you'll hear that noise back in, behind
Sounds
it.
like he's crying.
Yeah, I mean, again, imagine being, with your honey out in the middle of nowhere camping, knowing that's all that's
Oh,
between you
God.
and that sound is tint.
Mm-mm.
That's a lot of hell no. Well, oddly enough, speaking of Bigfoot, there was some Bigfoot news recently. Our buddy Isaac sent us over this story today. Apparently, in early July of this year, a resident of Michigan here in the U.S. named Eddie sent in an unusual photo to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization, also known as the RMSO. The picture shows a very recognizable two-legged cryptid covered in brownish-reddish fur crossing a river, holding something kind of close to its chest. A lot of people argue that it looks like it might be its cub, like a little baby Bigfoot.
It looks like it a little bit.
Other people, yeah, kind of. We'll put the photo in the Instagram. It's kind of like this creature is walking. You can kind of see its right side, and it looks like maybe something is kind of straddled, doing kind of a side piggyback on its far left side that's, just barely in view. Other people argue that it might be carrying the carcass of a deer or some other animal it's recently killed. But again, a little blurry, a little fuzzy because it was kind of a far out video, so the guy had to zoom in to make the snapshot.
Well, I think what it was, I think
But
it
he
was one of
says-
the live pictures.
Oh, you think
Yeah.
so? It could have been. The video is like 4.5,
Yeah,
4.7
that's
seconds.
what it is. Like, when you take a picture, it has like a little, if you hold it, it'll show you like the full picture taken with a little bit of sound and video in the background. I think it's one of them things. He zoomed in on it as much as he could, and in the time he's zooming in as he's taking the picture, it captures all that previous couple seconds before.
Oh, yeah, could very well be. Well, he says, my cousin was kayaking on the Cass River here in Michigan when he took this picture. I'm not sure what it is, but I sent it in to a few people to see what they were saying. And some people say it's Bigfoot carrying his cub. Others say he's carrying the carcass of a deer. Now, according to researcher Kyle Shaw, who has scrutinized the video, he says the creature definitely looks like it's holding a toddler, and he calls it Bigfoot-like, although he says, I'm not going to say this thing's actually a Bigfoot. I'm not saying this is a Sasquatch, but a lot of what is happening here tells me it's something, and it's moving along the river, creating a wake. And it seems to be carrying the baby. The baby's head is behind the mother or father, and it should be on the left shoulder, and kind of towards the back. But you can see the torso, the leg, and the foot of the child. It's incredible. And then he wants to go on ahead and say that it doesn't look like it's a toddler. The toddler does not look like it's a newborn because it's quite large, maybe half the size of the mother or father carrying it. So I don't know. Very interesting. It's kind of a more modern Patterson-Gimlin film, kind of exciting stuff.
There was a Bigfoot researcher back in the 70s, Ron Moorhead, and when we get off the show tonight, I will record the audio so you can kind of splice it in.
Mhm.
But I don't know how well you can hear it now, so let me just play this for a second. Okay, so right there, you can hear it go, and he had made a comment that while they were out in the forest, it sounded like almost like an angry samurai, like somebody was trying to speak Japanese, but really didn't know what they were doing. So he got it on audio, and he actually sent it to a linguist, And the guy said, "Yeah, that's actual language, almost like Proto-European, like something that the Joma would have spoke, like very early Japanese. That was kind of it was like a language that was kind of spoken throughout like the Middle East and maybe India at one point in time, and that nobody's spoken it for hundreds and thousands of years, but just from the cadence, he could basically kind of almost translate it. And he was like, "You guys are lucky because whatever was making those noises and making those sounds or whatever they were trying to articulate was get the fuck out of our territory, like shit's about to go down." And we always think of Bigfoot as like this, monkey, like this simplistic gorilla. Here's an example of even back in the 70s where, it's mimicking sound. So it's making a noise and the investigator's making certain chirps and noises back. And then it starts to, and I think that we had a professor in college that talked about how the movie, which if you guys don't like this movie, fuck you both, because I think it's an amazing movie from my childhood, The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas.
I thought you were going to say Boss Baby.
No, that's, I would agree with you if you said that was bad. But The 13th Warrior, that was actually based off a true story. They actually found these runes that had the story written in it, and then Michael Crichton went in like, early 90s and wrote this book about it. But a lot of anthropologists say that that was the last known modern encounter of modern day human beings with Neanderthals. And Neanderthals we knew had a language, and then here we have these big hominids that also are, here's a case where we found them to have a language. And so I think there's more to Bigfoot than meets the eye.
Yeah, what you're talking about is what's famously known as the Sierra Sounds.
Yes.
And specifically what you played in the sample is what they call samurai chatter. And it mimics what they said they thought, like you said, was early language, almost like a Japanese. The full-on story essentially is that Ron Moorhead, I think he worked as like an administrator at a church in California, and then one week Ron's friend went missing during a camping trip in the Sierras. So the friend's wife said, I think he must have encountered some kind of, mysterious creature or some kind of predator from the previous trip. And it's claimed the creature made some really strange, intimidating noises like whoops and hoots and hollers and kind of like garbled mumbling and stuff like that. So Ron returned to where the area was to collect evidence, and soon after he returns, he takes a sample of this really weird set of footprints in the snow, and he's like, holy crap, this turned out to be way more productive than I thought it was going to be. So he goes back, and these creatures are said to have been kind of rummaging through the trees up on a ridgeline. He never got a good chance to look at them, but he said that's when he recorded those sounds. The screaming and the whoop, and all that kind of crap was just a bunch of just random noises they were making. So he was able to record the noises, and then, that's the clip that we have now, the Sierra Sounds, also known as samurai chatter. And so, like you said, it could be early language that these animals are using, these people, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Cryptids are using, so.
Bigfoot, more than meets the eye.
Right. Well, we've checked off ghosts, we've checked off Will-o'-the-Wisp, and we've checked off Bigfoot. So what say you boys? We jump on to an alien story, huh?
Ooh.
Now, this is a long one, so strap in, folks. And before we get into it, I just want to say two things real quick. A, Isaac, thank you very, very, very much for the trouble you went through to get this for us, because the person who told the story, I'm going to keep it anonymous because I don't remember if she wanted us to say her name or not. So out of respect, I will bleep the name out. But I got to meet her online and talk, and Isaac and she and I, had a pretty long conversation. It was really cool. Unfortunately, as these things often do happen because of A, technical difficulties, or B, aliens, we lost part of our recording of our call. So Isaac, God, like the knightly gentleman he is. Wait, knightly gentleman, I meant that with a K. Knightly gentleman sounds like a gigolo, but anyway.
I don't know. He requested me
the-
to read more Bigfoot smut, so he might be
Sure.
the other type of knightly gentleman as well.
Like the chivalrous gentleman that he is, he went ahead and got the story again for us in this recording. So again, Isaac, dude, thank you so much. Also, thank you so much to the person who sent this story in and did the recording. And second of all, what I want to say is, again, thanks for sending the story in, because you can talk about ghosts and Bigfoot all you want. To me, like the money shot, it's aliens. Ghosts and Bigfoots are pretty fun, but when you go out and you publicly admit, well, if you admit to anybody, like, hey, I think I had an experience with some aliens,
Mm-hmm.
you can get a lot of side eye and a lot of weird looks from people. So, I mean, just thanks for trusting us with the story and sending it in. And without further ado,
Yeah.
So it all started back in 2009, I believe. I lived out in the country in a house. And yeah, I went to bed that night, and I knew I had a bad dream, and I woke up very frightened. But, we all have bad dreams. So it could have been anything. It wasn't but a week or so later, I was in the bathroom, kind of looking in the mirror, and I noticed something had been stamped on my back. It was a symbol. It looked like 2 half circles, kind of off skew, and then there was a line running through it with 3 little dots down below and another line running vertical. And it was very clear to see. It almost looked like it had been burned onto my upper right shoulder blade. Very, very distinctive pattern. So I immediately went to the doctor and had them check it out. The doctor looked at my back and said, it looks very unworldly to me. I'm going to refer you to a dermatologist. So managed to get into the dermatologist just a few days later. The dermatologist looked at the marking on my back and said it was unlike anything she'd ever seen before. It looked like I had almost been branded. So it was after that I thought, this might be more than what I think it is. I also, at that exact same time, a 15-foot in diameter circle had been burned in the grass outside of my bedroom window. So I lived in a house that was built on the side of a hill, and we had a 2nd-story deck. And I didn't really notice it at the time, but within a few days of everything happening, I looked out off of my deck and I noticed this big circle of grass had been burned. So I knew it had happened fairly recently, and I kind of figured out that it was all during the same time period. I had the bad dream about, and in my dream, I was picturing a very bright light, and that's all I remember. So there's a dream about the light, the branding on my shoulder, and then the circle burned into the yard outside of my bedroom window. So all of these things, really strange. It wasn't until I went out to visit my sister, who lived in the Portland area and at the time, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you have totally been abducted by aliens." And I kind of laughed it off at the time, but she might have a point. I mean, I thought about it and I was like, yeah, this technically, maybe it did happen. I mean, who knows? Well, the thought kind of went out of my mind. The branding on my back disappeared within weeks. And I just didn't give any more thought to it. A few years went by, nothing. I actually then it was winter time. I was working about an hour I lived about an hour from where I worked, and it was early morning, and I was driving to work, and I actually got into kind of a serious car accident. I slipped on ice. I was driving a Toyota RAV4. My RAV4 flipped up through the air 3 times. It almost hit a light pole, went down into a steep ravine, and completely totaled my car. I walked out without a scratch. Now, at the time that I'm flipping through the air, it's almost like slow motion, and I'm thinking, this is really, really bad. But I didn't, again, I didn't think much of it. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make this. But the car landed, and I got out, and I was fine. After that happened, there were owls following me everywhere I went. Like within a day, I returned to work. This happened like on a Friday, and I returned to work that following Monday because, I was totally fine. And I started noticing owls swooping down in front of my car. One time I counted 23 owls on the way to work. Everywhere I looked, there were owls. They'd swoop down, they'd fly across my car as I was driving, or I'd just be driving along and I'd look over and I'd see an owl sitting on a fence post. And that happened for about 2 full weeks of just owls everywhere. Now, they weren't overly large owls or small owls. They were, to me, just regular sized owls just following me everywhere I went. And at the time, I didn't know anything about owls, aliens. There's some synchronicity things going on there. Didn't know anything about it. It wasn't until later that I learned, many times aliens will take owl form when they want to visit you. So I don't know if it was like them protecting me after my almost fatal car accident or what, but anyhow, it was not long after that, and I want to say it was just a few months after that happened, but it might have been the following year, because this just happened like a few years ago, but I can't remember the exact timing on it. I took my kids down to Sedona, Arizona for a family vacation. And as we're walking through some of the touristy section, we walk into this rock shop that has all these really cool gemstones and necklaces you can buy, healing rocks, all this stuff. So my kids are over looking at the necklaces, and the store manager walks up to me, very tall German lady, comes up to me and says, "You've been contacted." And I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, I'm a clairvoyant." "And do you know what that is?" Well, I didn't really know what a clairvoyant was, but evidently they can see into the future. They can kind of like read people's minds. I'm still not 100% sure what they have special abilities. But she basically told me everything that had happened to me up until now as far as being contacted with she recited, the thing on my back, that there was a circle burned outside my bedroom window. It's like she almost read my mind. And she told me that the reason I was contacted is because there's something special about me. And they picked me for a reason. And that I should just feel lucky that I was one of them that was evidently contacted. I don't know. But the whole thing really creeped me out because I'm sitting there and I'm like, or standing there talking to this lady, and I'm like, whoa, how does she even know this stuff? Like, because until now, I have not publicly shared this with anyone other than my parents, who I've told, and my sister, but I haven't put it out on the internet. I haven't, done any of that. So it was not public knowledge. And even then, even if I had, she wouldn't have known who I was when I came in. But yeah, she recited back everything that had happened to me, including the car accident and the owls and everything. So it's been a really interesting experience. That's basically, and that's been a few years ago, and I haven't had anything happen since then. So, yeah.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
It's fucking aliens.
The weird
Yeah.
branding, the owls, that shit, man, that would fuck
Mhm.
me up. Ugh.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
like to see a picture of the branding and
Mhm.
because oh, I need Sean to put on his nerd glasses. The event that took place in England, it's considered like England's Roswell. The English
Rendlesham
soldier that's
Forest.
yes, that event. He was actually writing down, or he saw images and he was writing them down, and the images that he produced, they said were almost like hieroglyphs. They could have been
Mhm.
like Mesopotamian, Egyptian. Like it wasn't something that was common to us, but it was very similar to something that was Earth-like. So the fact that she had these markings on her, I'm curious to see is what they would actually look like, and if anybody would take the time to study them. Could they be matched up to some type of, Egyptian culture, just kind of tie in with the whole ancient aliens. But I'd be interested to see what they look like. So
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's bizarre, and I love the fact that you get this weird marking on you, and you're kind of teetering on the fence of like, maybe it was aliens. I don't know. And then her sister's like, dude, you got abducted. You got to go to the
it's like
doctor, man.
just right in there, like didn't even like. Well, I don't know. I mean, it could be. No, she was just like, no, it's aliens. It was aliens.
Right? Yeah, it's so bizarre. And the fact that, she goes and sees a dermatologist and they're just like, I don't know.
They
what
called it
these are."
unworldly. Like what?
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah. So freaking strange, man. And then of course, the owls, that's super rad and another telltale sign that you got aliens.
Mm-hmm. And then
Just
being
seeing
visited by
them,
that
and not
German
only
lady
her, but
with the
yeah.
this, what do you call it? Fortune teller, or medium, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's bizarre, man. And the fact that also, not just you, but your kids saw the owls. That's takes it further, that it's not just any kind of hallucination. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just you imagining it, that, they're actually physically there
So I got that big ass owl statue in my house to remind you
to ward them off.
aliens are always
Oh,
watching.
never mind, guys. Aliens are already here.
Yep.
I love that statue, man. That's so cool. Yeah, that's phenomenal. And then the German lady just kind of calling you out and saying that you've been visited, you've had contact.
Ugh.
That's got to be a jaw-dropping
weird.
moment right there. Yeah, again, thank you so much for sending that in. And I'd like to say that when I spoke to her, it's just nothing but sincerity. Nothing is sensationalized, nothing's hammed up. It's just like hey, here's a weird thing. Take it, with a grain of salt. Take it for what it is. But yeah, super, super bizarre.
Thanks for sharing with us again. So cool.
Yeah, most definitely. And Isaac, thanks, man, for making that
Yeah,
happen.
the audio sounded great too. A little professional.
Yeah,
over there.
yeah, you should come work
That
for
little
us.
Isaac.
We don't pay much, but All right, shifting gears here, we have another voicemail from our buddy Headset Jones, who wrote in. I want to say this was right around episode 186 or so, and we were talking about, prowlers and stowaways in airplanes and just, what you do when you stumble across somebody living under your house, that kind of stuff.
Hey guys, it's Headset Jones here. I'm listening to the podcast in the car on the way to get some bullshit. But so I was listening to the kind of prowler creeper stories, and I wanted to tell you, I was walking back from Waffle House one night at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and all of a sudden my buddy who's walking to my left puts his arm around my chest, like to stop me, like I was going to step on something or something. He goes, like, whispers and puts his finger over his mouth. There's like a dude there. And right next to me was this big magnolia tree, and there was a dude in the fucking magnolia tree. And so, like, we started yelling at him, like, what the fuck? And, like, he was just standing there and just being a fucking creeper. So we just left that situation alone. We don't know whatever came of that. We didn't call cops. We don't call cops in Atlanta, but it was fucking it was definitely one of those situations, you know. Sorry for the swearing. I can't talk about that. But you know, it's weird. And when I worked at FedEx, we used to have bans around anything that was large enough to conceal a human being, so they couldn't, you know, get out, or they would just die in there or something. I'm not sure why we had the bans, but we had the bans for anything large enough for a human to stow away in. But yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it, and thank you guys for what you do. Really love the podcast. Listen to it every time it comes out, when I'm doing like yard work or, you know, driving around or whatever. It's a great podcast. Thanks. Bye.
Fucker was in the magnolia tree.
I know. I've got a magnolia bush outside my house, and now whenever I take my dog out, I kind of take a quick peek to make sure no one's hiding inside of it.
Do you guys know what that was?
What's that?
Well, first off, I loved how he's like, because we don't call the cops in Atlanta. He's like bragging about Atlanta and shit.
Yeah.
We get it, bro. You're from Atlanta.
I love it though. That's so funny. Yeah, we don't call the cops. We just handle that shit with street justice.
We don't call the cops where we're from.
Yeah. So you know when you're like at like our area would be Delano or the Riverwalk type thing. That have like art pieces. Sometimes them trees get hollowed out for that specific purpose to like take pictures at, and like, so I think it was probably something like that, and some guy was just probably sleeping in there or being a creep, just chilling in there or in the middle of the night. And like, you know, I don't know.
You know what I think it could have been?
Injured Cole.
Be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff.
Oh yeah, there you go. Got a hold of the
No, I think it was probably somebody just dicking around in a tree, man, just being creepy.
Yeah.
The other part he mentioned was working for FedEx, putting giant bands around things that are big enough to conceal a human. That's probably so no one crawls inside a giant box and jumps out at you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember that
So
episode we did of all the weird shit that people were like, I'm going to shit myself across the United States. I was in a plane for 2 weeks, and I got cold, I got hot, I shit myself.
Yeah. I shit in a Pepsi bottle.
It's crazy.
Don't ask me how. Now we got to look up and figure out if anyone's ever died while shipping themselves via FedEx or whatever.
Oh God, that'd be the like embarrassing way to go. Like, you know, Elvis went out taking a crap on a toilet, but wouldn't you hate to be the guy that's like, how'd Jerry die? Well, you know, he shipped himself across the United States, and he fucking died in the airplane in the box. Ran out of food, ran out of water.
He even shit himself.
Well, I say
we put a pin in it.
Yeah.
Because
stop it there.
We're getting close to the hour mark. I mean, we let Headset Jones take us out, and then you know, next episode we just fucking hit it and quit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, when you add all the other audio, it'll be over an hour for sure.
Well, coming up on the next episode, guys, we've got some good stuff. We got shadow people. We got ghost stories. We've got weird, dilapidated houses. We've got conspiracy theories that I've got fucking Post-it notes all around my computer from that I never thought I would. I've thrown in my very own experience I've alluded to before about a haunted Pizza Hut. And then we've got another alien abduction story, and who knows what else, you know? We may get some more now that we're splitting this into two. So,
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I have one that I don't know that I've ever told, that I'm like on that weird cusp of, was it a shadow person encounter, or was it an alien abduction?
Mm-hmm.
So I might throw that in.
You want to share it now, Preston? This is a safe space.
Yeah. I mean, I can. So,
no accent.
2005, no accent. No, I'll be good. 2005, 2006, my great aunt had passed away, and
Rest in
mom, no, thanks. She, Aunt Dee was, she's in her 90s, and she liked a gin and tonic at night. This is not really relevant to the story. I just thought I'd throw this in here because what a way to go. Speaking of ways of going out. And so she would have her nightly nightcap, and she had a little bit too much gin and tonic, and fell down and like broke her hip. And she's fucking like 92, so I mean she was like brittle anyways. But the fact that she's still knocking down gin and tonics at like 92, and then her hip got infected and she passed away. She was just her husband lost an eyeball in World War II down in the trenches and got like gangrene. He got shot, and then like it got infected. So like Uncle Les had like this weird glass eyeball that I was fascinated with a kid. And Uncle Les was also a Mason, and then she was an Eastern Star, so she had the whole conspiracy theory thing going on. Pimp ass lady. Anyways, fast forward. So we're getting ready to go to the funeral, and my uncle's a dickhead, and so Mom thought that there was going to be maybe a little bit of an issue at the funeral with Uncle Phil because we hadn't spoken to him in a long time. So she was like, your father, he gets an attitude sometimes, so can you just come and keep the peace? I'm like, well, fuck that. If he says anything at the funeral, like it's fucking fist. Like, don't worry about Dad, worry about me. But
like
yeah,
Donkey
Mama.
Kong.
Yeah. So, and I'm like mid-20s at this point, and so I'm just like, well, fuck, I'll sleep on the couch because it was up in Lecompton, Kansas, and we were gonna have to get up like super early to make it to the funeral. So I'm like, well, I'm a night owl, and I'm not gonna be able to like get up at the ass crack of dawn, drive out to Andover. So I'm like, I'll fucking stay the night. And growing up as a kid, I always had sleep paralysis, where I would like wake up and I'd be kind of like, frozen in the bed. I could kind of move my eyes around. And so I'm upstairs on the couch, sleeping. And by the front door where the couch sits, there's, basically two sets of kind of like bay windows. And I remember, waking up with that sensation of sleep paralysis where I was frozen and I couldn't move. And all I could see was this bright light just illuminating the whole entire front room, and just this black shadow standing over me. And then
Oh shit.
I woke up. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Was it like normal sleep paralysis, and it just so happened that a fucking car was just driving and it illuminated the windows so I could see the shadow person more clearly? Or the fact that it was an alien abduction because of how bright the light was, like it was like super bright and just illuminated her. I don't know. It didn't have any weird spots on me or anything, and no weird nightmares. Never saw any owls. So I don't know on that one.
Wow.
Weird.
That's great. You're gonna love the last story on the next episode.
Speaking of
most definitely.
shadow people, as events turn out, me and my girlfriend Katie were watching Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore. How long has it been since you guys watched that movie?
It's been 20 years, but I remember it very well.
Like them shadow people in that movie are fucked. And like that movie's made 1990, so the special effects are what they are. But like the sound that they use for the shadow, like it sounds so terrifying. And then like I don't know, it looks so much creepier just because it's shitty CGI. Like I don't know, but
right,
it made it solid that shit's terrifying. So
yeah, dude.
Solid movie if you're into paranormal, a paranormal kind of romantic movie. If you've never seen it, it's a classic.
It's got romance and the paranormal and Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Whoopi's awesome.
And throwing clay pots, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh yeah. Now, you know what? Headset, I'm sorry. I told you could take us out, but we have one more thing to play. If you guys want to do Michael's message he sent us, we should probably finish the episode with that one.
What up, Triple P? This is Michael coming to you from the 45th parallel up near Gaylord, Michigan. And you may remember me from the Double XP podcast, where I was the guy who fluffed Big Steven's podcast penis, causing him to revive O&D with Brady. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest right up front. I don't have a story. I had initially planned to tell some goofy bit about how I was possessed for most of my life, and use that as a means to come out as agender, which I am. Don't like it? Suck a goat dick. Anyway, that was my plan, but then I got really stoned one day and got all sentimental, thinking about friends and other mental jerk-off things, and I just made a jerk-off motion with my hand. So I decided instead to just call in with this. Steven, I love you, bud. I wish I was better at expressing it, and I hope someday, maybe, I'm a more vocal friend. You've always supported me, and even when disagreeing about something, managed to do so in a friendly manner because you actually fucking care, and that's rare these days. Sean, you're a good dude, and I've always felt like there would be something there if I just tried better. We aren't as close as I am with the aforementioned fuckwad Big Steven, but again, I hope to try and change that. Preston, I don't actually know you, but for what I've listened to of the show, you seem like a solid dude, and if I'm ever able to get back out to Wichita area, I would love to meet up. I wish I could say I was a loyal fan of the show, but I honestly always avoided listening because, as I've told Big Steven, I'm a huge pussy when it comes to paranormal shit. Like, even just hearing about it freaks me out. But I did eventually start listening from the beginning, like the anal piece of shit that I am. But my podcast fell off when I stopped working a couple months ago. But you are still on my backlog. I do plan to go back. But I've always supported you guys. Shared what I could on Facebook, followed you, blah, blah, blah. But I just wanted to send some love, congratulate you guys on, quote, 200 episodes, or however many there are, considering y'all had a weird season 1, then a season 2, then there were no seasons, and then Rob left, and then, I don't know, maybe you got Nick Cage at some point. That guy'll do anything. But yeah, congrats y'all, I love you, and hey, that new movie, I, Robot, is coming out this weekend, so I was wondering if y'all wanted to see it and then go, fuck! Maybe it was I Am Legend. I don't know, Will Smith in there somewhere.
Oh, that was classic.
First off, dude, thank you so much for the love and support. And as I've always told you, it's the same way, man. Nothing but love, nothing but respect for you. Congratulations on being your true self, being awesome, and not giving a fuck what people think, man. And a lot of the messages and stuff like that, like me and Mike go back a long ways, and especially in the podcasting world, we both met on the podcast I mentioned before, The Awful Show. A lot of the jokes that he's talking about, that he's referencing, you guys are like, what? But like I said, Mike, thank you so much for the kind words, man. And if you ever make it down here, dude, we'll go to Steak and Shake, or not Steak and Shake, Dog and Shake. Steak and Shake's awesome though. The Dog and Shake, and watch some gamer poop videos on YouTube. It's hilarious.
Hey, Sean might have to edit this part out real quick, but didn't Sean and I play a game of Munchkin with Mike? Or is that a different Mike? You know,
that was Josh.
That was Josh. Yeah.
No, but there was somebody. There was a Mike there.
Was it at the
battle
stations?
Fuck,
right?
I don't know. At the east side of town. Yeah,
battle stations. I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it was.
See, Mike, we've connected. We've already met.
No, that's so cool, man. Well, you're right, Sean. What a great way to end the episode. Well, this part of the episode out. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny. He kept telling us he was going to send us a story, and then I get that, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to sit on that and then not share that with you guys until we record, because yeah, that's fantastic. Super proud of you, Michael. And also, like, thanks for letting us be a platform, man, to kind of, I shouldn't say man, agender means no gender, if I'm not mistaken. But thank you for letting us be a platform to come out and, announce your true self. That's fantastic. Nothing but love for you. And yeah, I hope you get to come back again, because last time you were here, it was a lot of fun. We played a lot of fun games and hung out. So hopefully we'll get to meet up again.
Time.
I really loved it too. From the 45th parallel.
Yeah. So he's working on becoming a trucker, full-time trucker. So that would be awesome.
Oh yeah. That's good. That's going to be loads of good stories, because truckers see all the shit.
Yep.
They see all the stuff. The road trolls.
Yeah.
UFOs, Bigfoots.
But then he's a pussy though.
Weird albino cats.
He said he was a pussy when it comes to this stuff. So
but hey, Mike,
hold on, we're gonna psych him out of the career. Stop.
Yeah. God. Yeah. But hold on, Mike. You're not the only pussy when it comes to the paranormal, because our co-host Sean, still to this day, will not step inside a pentagram or fuck with a Ouija board or anything of that nature.
True.
So I mean, everybody's got their limits, and that's okay.
I was asked last night at the movies about doing a seance for an upcoming episode, and I had to reluctantly tiptoe
Leslie
backwards and say,
Leslie was trying to push that shit bad.
Well, I mean, Leslie, if you're listening, Steve and I will do it.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, you guys can do it.
I said, I know I'll do it. And I was like, I know Preston will do it. Sean,
Yeah.
Nope. I
Yeah.
told Leslie, get me a bottle of sage spray. We'll sit in the back and just hose ourselves down with
You know,
sage.
Sean will be in the back in some like old porcelain tub with claw feet, just sitting there shaking back and forth, just sitting there. You hear the sage waters going back and forth.
He's swishing around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll bring a sage bath bomb.
There you go. Man, that's actually a really good idea.
All right.
Make the bath bombs, you know,
Not
that
too shabby, is it?
all the Pinterest moms do, and then you can like just make like a paranormal one for it.
Pixelated paranormal bath bomb in the shape of our logo.
Kind of like Pixelated
rinse,
Paranormal
rinse
beard
away
balm.
the demons.
You know, we hit
Yeah.
200 episodes. We have a sponsor that's a beard balm maker. You know, maybe some kind of like Pixelated Paranormal special scent.
What's up?
Yeah.
What's
Alan,
up?
if you're listening.
Alan's not listening. He's too busy on his honeymoon with Hillary. Just
True.
living it up.
Oh.
But that's a good
Aw.
segue into the outro.
Yep, most definitely. Steve, what do you got, man?
Check us out on Instagram, PXL Paranormal, where you'll see, by the way, awesome hype post for the 200th episode with a little video. Sean did a really good job on that.
Oh, shucks.
And all the visual aids and other things like that. Check us out on there. We get a lot. That's definitely our biggest platform where we interact with people on the most. Facebook, check us out, Pixelated Paranormal Podcast on Facebook. We're on all the podcast sites. Give us an honest review on iTunes if you'd like. It definitely helps out with the algorithms and all the other stuff that, isn't Jeff Bezos going into space. So, shout out to all the awesome stuff coming up. You guys gotta go on YouTube and watch the Jackass Forever trailer. It's making everybody feel so good because it's just funny to watch what them dudes do, and they're ushering in a whole new era of new people that I've watched for many years now. But it's crazy to see these people that I've watched start from just being inspired by these dudes to actually being on a Paramount production. Like it's awesome. And I get to meet Steve-O in February, so I am stoked as shit.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Steve-O
It's
meets
interesting that
Steve-O.
you said Jeff Bezos. As you said that, I literally opened up Facebook and somebody posted what is supposedly a poem from a Navajo teen written in 1971. Listen to this. Going into space. So I guess they are going into damn space again soon. And $2.5 billion camping trip. Oh sure, these three have accomplished much in their lives. Their Boy Scouting will finally come into a real test. Why don't they hover their spacecraft over the reservations? Or hover their screaming steel over the ghettos and sea? But I guess you cannot see the poverty from 28 miles above the earth. Francis Bercenti, a Navajo, wrote that poem back in 1971 when he was 19 years old.
How ironic.
And it, how coincidental. Like, I literally opened up Facebook right when you said that.
Yeah. Shout out to whoever designed Bezos' rocket.
Big
yeah,
dick.
like that. I mean, you can't get any more on the nose. Sorry.
I mean, it's a phallus.
It is very
right,
phallic shaped, and it resembles his head. So, two and two together, man. Like,
boom.
But in
shakalaka,
the words
shakalaka.
of Ricky Bobby, when you ain't first, you're last. You didn't make it first. Deal with it.
I thought you were going to say, if you don't chew Big Red, go fuck yourself. Or fuck you. Oh, shit, yeah. All right, guys, and speaking of podcasts, please check out the rest of the shows on Pixelated Sausage. Check out, if you haven't yet, the backlog of 13 Nightmares. Check out Mark's solo show, Pixelated Sausage. Check out the old archive backlog of Animes and Ibaka. And check out his video game cast, Attack the Backlog. Preston, what do you got, buddy?
And as always, if you need a beard, if you want a beard, if you want to grow the best damn beard you can grow, hell, it's a lovely night with your lady, your significant other, and you want to reenact a scene from Ghost, then you need to bring out your inner Patrick Swayze. What better way to do it than lather up your face with some Big Dobbs Beard Balm? And go over to BigDobbsBeardBalm.com and use promo code PXLPARA to save 20% off all the Dobbs has to offer and up your beard game. Get yourself some scents like Dundee Cedar, Bay Rum, Sweet Tobacco, Fresh, Citrus, Mint, and Classic. Get it all and get it at Dobbs.
Hell yeah. And if you're in the Wichita area, please stop by and see our good friend Leslie and the gang down at CD Trade Post at Pawnee and Seneca. And I think that about does it for this episode, everybody. So if you've got a story you want to share in the celebration, send it over, because guess what? We gave you another week because we still have a lot of good stuff coming. We may be able to squeeze you into episode 201, part 2 of our 200th episode Listener Story Extravaganza.
Agreed.
Woo. And I just want to say, 200 episodes. It's been a very fun ride so far. I love both of you guys very, very much. It's been a lot of fun, and it wouldn't be the same without both of you here. And also, shout out to Rob, the guy who made the whole thing possible.
The original Kentucky Goblin himself.
Cool. All right.
Oh,
OG Goblin. Oh, very nice. All right. Until next time, folks, cheers to the weird shit in the world and to those of us that love to talk about it.
and stay spooky and stay on the paranormal highway.
The cast at Pixelated Paranormal would like to thank you for listening to this week's episode. Pixelated Paranormal is here to tell you tales of the fantastical, the strange, the unknown. Tales that will move you a little further down the paranormal highway. If you'd like to share your own listener story, we would love to hear it. Email us at pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. Again, that's pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. We'd really love to hear from you. Again, thanks for listening to this week's episode of Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.